Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm working on a double page layout, and these photos are of my kids and my niece visiting the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center in Baker City, Oregon. And today I'm using a technique that I really enjoy for double page layouts. I like to treat the two pages as one page and use the center as the spot for my photographs. So here I am. I've laid down this center piece kind of wonky across the two other pieces. I think it's going to provide some visual interest and keep it so it's a little more fun and playful rather than just keeping everything straight. I do tend to keep everything straight on most of my layouts. That's just the way my brain thinks. The excess pieces that I'm cutting off there are going to be placed up in the upper corner, the upper left-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner to tie everything together. And I'm really enjoying the background paper with the little teepees and tents and mountains on it. And I think it goes perfectly with the photos that I've got and the subject that I am scrapbooking. When I do a layout that is a double page like this and I'm treating it as one page, I will still use 3 embellishment clusters, but they will be spread across the 2 pages. Now when I put these in my scrapbook, I'm going to be using the We Are Memory Keepers flush mount page protectors, and the way those work are that the 2 pages are attached together, so when I open it up, these 2 pages will appear as one page rather than having that gap in the center that they would normally have in a D-ring binder, which is what I use. Now you see me playing with the photos there, and I don't really want the 2 teepee photos right next to each other. I think it would be a little bit redundant. I do like having both photos on the page, but I don't want them side by side. I think it's going to provide better balance if they're not side by side. And I will be playing with moving around those photos a little bit more. I also don't really want the 2 wagon photos right next to each other, so down the road I'm going to move those around. And I'm playing with the acrylic words. The Explorer piece there is from Bella Boulevard, and then the other 2 pieces are from Colorcast Designs. I'm auditioning several different pieces of embellishments. The wood veneer, I really like the idea of the wood veneer on this layout, but in the end it's not going to make it. I also like the acrylic piece that says Hello Adventure. It is the perfect color of yellow, but in the end it's not going to make it onto the layout. I think it kind of matched a little bit too much and I couldn't get it to balance just right, so I will be taking that off. The border strips that you see me playing with right now are from SEI, and they've been in my stash for quite a while, so I am checking those out. I will end up using some of those. I wanted to try and kind of stash bust a little bit for this layout and use some older product. I'm also checking out the Explorer piece there and turning it into a yellow color. So you see me playing with my yellow Sharpie there, trying to see if I like it better as a yellow piece or as white. I just tried the Sharpie on the back of the piece so that I can get a good idea of what it would look like. I don't end up liking it, so it's going to remain white. I'm going to go ahead and mount all of my photos onto white cardstock. And when I do this as a double page layout, the center pieces will be flush to the white cardstock so that they meet up with the other pieces in the center of the layout. I don't want it to look like 2 separate layouts, so I do want them flush. And I'm finally moving the teepee and the wagon photo. I'm swapping the 2 so that the wagons are not right next to each other, and the yellow wagon needs to stay where it's at because it has the name of the location on it. A lot of times I will take a photo of my kids with the name of the location so that I don't have to recreate it somewhere else on the page. Now I went ahead and I used my trimmer to trim all the way around the photos as they're matted. And now I'm playing with the border strips to try and figure out how I want those to lay down. And as I do in many cases on my layouts, I am creating a shelf for the photos to rest upon. So I'm cutting those border strips down so that they fit perfectly side by side and flush to the center of the two pages. And I'm also inking those up with Walnut Stain Distress ink, which is one of my favorite inks to use. Through the magic of recording, I went ahead and got those pieces placed, and now I am cutting some vellum that's in a peachy yellow color. I've die cut that with a doily die cut that I've had in my stash for a while, and I'm placing it behind those acrylic pieces. I thought the white of the acrylic pieces blended in just a tiny bit, and so I wanted them to stand out a little bit more. I've also pulled out pieces from my stash. They're acrylic or acetate frames, brackets, and some tags as well. I won't end up using all of the pieces, but I do want to get some of those on my layout because I'm trying to use those up. I've had them in my stash forever and have a really hard time using them. So rather than using them as a frame, I'm just using them as little corner pieces that are going to stick out and provide a little more visual interest. I'm cutting up some rub-ons here, and those I think are from the dollar spot at Target. And a little trick that I learned from a friend of mine when it comes to rub-ons, if you staple the pieces that you're not using onto the backing, then they will stay much longer and they won't rub off onto other embellishments in your stash. So that's what I was doing with that little tiny attacher. I was just stapling the two pieces that I was not going to use together so that they would stay with their backing. Now I am putting those turquoise pieces onto my layout, and I know it seems weird that I'd be using turquoise on this layout as I haven't used it yet, but I wanted it to provide some contrast between the yellows and the grays, and I thought it went really nicely with the photos. I didn't want to make you sit through applying all of those rub-ons, but just so you know, if you ever see rub-ons in the dollar section at Target, these ones worked out really well. They went on really smoothly and easily, and I know sometimes it's difficult to get the rub-ons to work perfectly. So here I am applying some border strips, and these are an epoxy border strip, I believe, and they're from Amy Tan. They're really old. They're not very sticky at all, so I will go back and have to add some liquid adhesive to hold those down. But I wanted to just have those corners have a little definition to them, so that's why those are there. And now I'm adding a little bit more turquoise to this layout, and I'm trying to figure out where to put these acetate pieces so that they add interest, but they're not looking like they're out of place. So I just added those to those areas where those cut apart frames were, and they're just adding a little bit more pop of color and tying that turquoise in together. I've pulled out some epoxy buttons that are in round and star shapes. They are the right color of yellow and turquoise to complement the layout, so I'm going to go ahead and divvy those up into the 3 different spots that I'm going to have my embellishments, and I'm going to use some baker's twine in gray and white to tie onto them, and that'll tie them into the gray background paper. I've also pulled out some label stickers in orange and yellows that match this layout perfectly, and I will be building my embellishment clusters around those. And now I'm adhering the Explore acrylic piece on, and I'm using my fine line applicator, which has crystal lacquer in it, and I really do love that glue. It sticks very well and it goes on nice and smooth out of the fine line applicator bottle. I've got these Freckled Fawn stickers that are super old, and I know I want to use the little geotag and a couple of the other pieces from it. They are semi-transparent, so I am going to have to play around and figure out where I want those pieces to lay so that they do show up and don't blend in completely with the background. I've got another piece of acetate there that matches those frames. I think it probably came in the same pack. It's hanging from a little string. We'll see where I can add that in. And then I'm just going to keep playing around with the clusters and try to build those up. The speech bubble is also from Freckled Fawn. That's, I think, a newer piece. And so I'm going to try and use that. I find it's always best to start with the largest embellishments first and work my way down to the smaller embellishments to just add finer detail. And you're going to see as I start adding that finer detail that I will use my tweezers to hold everything. And that is so I can just see precisely where I want things and my hand's not in the way. So it makes it a lot easier for me, and if it's not something that you've done, I highly recommend that you try it. Now you saw the tiny attacher there up in the above the title, and I couldn't actually reach my tiny attacher all the way down onto the page, so I just put the staple on the string and then I adhered it to the page. And you can't really tell that that's the way I did it, but that's the way it's been done, and so it works for me. I've also included a couple of rubber embellishments to add some texture and more visual interest. There seems to be a lot of inspiration on YouTube for single page layouts, so I wanted to try a double page and see how you guys liked that. If you could leave me some feedback down below and let me know if you enjoy the double page layouts or if it just doesn't apply anymore. I know there are several people that still do double pagers, and I don't know if it's something that you guys would be interested in seeing more of, so leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. I do get kind of bored doing single pages all the time or double pages all the time, so I kind of flip back and forth. You'll also see cards on my channel and possibly some other projects in the future. I'm trying to keep those into playlists so that if you don't want to see cards, you don't have to click on cards. You can just run your playlist through with single page layouts or double page layouts, whatever you prefer. And that's my goal as I continue to build my library of videos. The video is going to be coming to an end pretty quickly here. I'm putting the finishing touches on the page. I hope you stick around at the end for the still shots where you can see everything up more close and personal. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would really love it if you'd do so. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. If you'd like more information or would like to see more of my layouts, you can visit my blog at galaxygirlcreations.wordpress.com. And I think that's just about the end of the video, and the stills will be along shortly. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.